Thank you very much, Kingori. I'm not really sure I will match your energy. I need to see you aside to ask you what you eat in the morning. Um, hopefully, nothing illegal.
Doma.
Anyway, yeah, that's too much energy. Good morning, everyone, once again. Um, a very warm welcome to our first panel discussion of the Global Democracy Forum Africa chapter. Um, my name is Daniel Iberi. I work with Afrobarometer. I'm a communication and survey research professional. I work with Afrobarometer as the communications coordinator for East Africa. And I will be your moderator today. Allow me to just tease out a few questions before I invite the panelists here today. Uh, I mean, many questions have been asked by the foregoing speakers. The keynote speech, we've heard from Mary Von Ododa, we've heard from Professor Kamau with Afrobarometer data on trends in democracy. But on democracy and human rights, where are we with democracy in Africa? As much as we've seen the data, where are we? Are we progressing? Are we regressing? There is much talk about democracy and regressing. There is much talk about democracy has plateaued in Africa. There is confusion now in Africa that we no longer understand the concept of democracy. Experts are trying to tell us that now can we redefine democracy in the context of Africa, in the context of history of Africa, so that it can serve us. The question is it serving us right now? We've seen back and forth. We've progressed. Africans want democracy. Okay? But then when you look at West Africa, the coups and you know, uh, there are so many fora that are being organized in West Africa right now. They are telling you that that thing is not working. Is it because we are not able to define democracy, understand its tenets very well, so that to the extent we are saying that it's not really working? Okay, so there are so many questions around these concepts. Okay, our panel today will talk about democracy, human rights, and environmental justice. But again, I'd like to tell them that, as much as we are talking about all these things, Africa Agenda 2063, where will you be in 2063? Okay, I mean, some of us will be, um, very old. Where are the youth? Do they understand the concept of democracy? Aspects of human rights? And it's a good thing that today we are having that discussion in this setup because we are able to reach young people. But again, this is a conventional way of reaching young people. Not so many young people are able to attend such fora and really grasp this concept. I'm not saying they are complex, but again, we need to really find a way of appealing to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to give a speech or to present. These are very weighty questions, and I'd like to introduce our esteemed panelists who will be responding to some of those questions. Um, may I now call forward um, Gloria Wawira. Gloria Wawira, where are you? Gloria Wawira is the CEO, National Youth Council. Gloria. Hi, Gloria. Where is my panelist? Okay, let's move on. Zaina Kombo. Zaina Kombo is the campaigns manager, equality and anti-discrimination at Amnesty International Kenya. Thank you very much, Zaina. Come forward. We have Santo Astorino. Santo Astorino is the project manager, Mundus Group. I don't know if I pronounced that well. We also have Dr. Dennis Wamalwa. Dr. Dennis Wamalwa is the Commissioner, Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, KNCHR. Okay, so thank you very much. To set the stage, I'd like to invite you. Let's start with Santo. Can you briefly give your opening remarks about our theme today? You know, in not more than 120 seconds.
Hello? Okay. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to be here today to take part in this conversation in this forum. I would like also to to thank the organizer for the invitation as well for the opportunity to share some reflection on the role of the crucial role of the grassroots organization in the implementation of policies and of environmental policies and social justice, with a particular focus on the importance of the youth-centered solution. My name is Santo Astorino. I am project manager at Mundus, an organization based in Spain with over 10 years of experience in international mobility projects. So the main objective of our project is the employability of young people for providing learning opportunity, capacity building, and internationalization programs. But also we work to promoting the internationalization of vocational education and training centers and enhancing cross-cutting and technical skills for youths. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on in the interest of time. Zaina, can you give your opening remarks?
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Zaina Kombo from Amnesty International Kenya, and we advocate for human rights for all. Just to say that there is a lot of intersectionality between democracy, human rights, and environmental justice. So we must all get concerned, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amalwa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Dennis Wamalwa from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And for us, we're glad to join you because we know that environmental human rights is a human rights for all. And we hope to engage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amalwa. Maybe just give the mic to Zaina. Let's start with you. Zaina, how can democratic governance frameworks effectively address environmental issues or crises while ensuring human rights protections?
So to start with, we cannot speak about democracy if we do not work on accountability. Our institutions need to be strengthened to tackle impunity, because impunity is at the core of the regression that we are seeing in terms of human rights, governance, and democracy. Our current constitution, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, is a framework that gives all of us, including the youth, a lot of agency to ask questions to individuals and institutions that are mandated to take care of human rights and democracy in the country.
Thank you. You said we need to get concerned.
Yes.
And how do we get concerned with regards to human rights? How do we get concerned? How do people in this room get concerned? I mean, you're talking about involvement, definitely. What are the channels of involvement, beyond the ordinary?
As I started by saying that the Constitution has given us agency. Our previous Constitution regarded citizens as subjects. Right now, Article 1 of this same Constitution gives the sovereign power to the people. So we all need to understand that, first of all, human rights are inherent. They're not given by government. The moment you were born, you deserved all the human rights that are there, from the UDHR all the way back to our Constitution. So you have a right to stand up and speak up against any human rights violation, as enshrined in our Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights of our Constitution, And as stipulated from the Article 1 of the UDHR, which says we are all equal. So we need to enhance our agency, stand up for our rights, demand for accountability, not even ask, demand that we are on the table, because at some point we do not need invitation to the table. We have to realize that we are the table. When we do not have environmental justice, it is not just the trees and the oceans that are being affected. We are talking about human beings who need this environmental justice. To be honest, the trees do not need justice, it is us, because we can't live without the trees, for instance. So we need to stand up now and speak out against discrimination, speak out against exclusion, speak out against suppression of the civic space. And it is up to us to expand this civic space. They might decide, whoever decides, they might decide to defund democracy. But it is we, the people, who can expand this democracy, even without funding. It requires only our voice to stand up against atrocities, to stand up against impunity, to decide that we want our country back. And for sure, we will get it. We saw it from last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We saw it from last year. We'll get there. I mean, this is what happens. Last year is what happens when, we don't listen to the people. But then, well said. Let's act within the law. We should be at the table, speak out against suppression of the civic space. I mean, well spoken. So let me move on to Santo. Santo, you've talked about briefly employability of youth. But then, what role do grassroots organizations play in bridging the gap between policy and action? And we understand the gap between policy and action. That's really a conundrum. Okay, we have very good laws, but no action or little action. Santo?
Yeah, connecting what Zaina told before, of course, maybe some progress in environmental policies had been in the last few years, but the impact of the vulnerable communities on young people remain unequal around the world, and they are still affected by the effects of the environmental issues, the climate change, and also the lack of democracy in some part. But the question is, who ensure that this policy translates into real change? I think in my opinion, is where grassroots organization can play a crucial role. In what way? From based on my experience in the last few years working with my organization, I noted three main points. The first one is the grassroots organization have direct connection with the community. This is a big value because this allows them to identify environmental issues and social issues at the local level. But also they facilitate active community participation in decision making, and they can ensure also that the policies respond to the real needs. The second point is grassroots organization can implement contextualized solution because they are able to adapt to global strategy to real realities. For example, sustainable technology, community-based resource management, participatory approach, and but also they operate in this participatory approach. So they permit fostering also decentralized governance model. And for the last point, the third point is that grassroots organization can provide political advocacy and foster social mobilization. So they are able also to translate to the community demands into effective political pressure and ensure that the citizen oversight of environmental regulation and also guaranteeing the compliance of these policies. So there are also other points that we can reflect, but I think, in my opinion, that this is the principal role that have the grassroots organization in this way. And also, I think that the grassroots organization can operate effectively when some conditions are available. But before to do that, it's important to do a consideration, three consideration that is important, that I think my consideration, so both in Africa and in Europe, the main challenges in policies making and policy implementation often follow a top-down approach. So rarely involving communities in the and final beneficiary in the decision making. Other point is the lack of resource and undefined common values that make difficult to adopt also initiative to improve community well-being, to ensure the social and environmental justice. And the last one, that is the education skills and development, particularly among youth, are fundamental to achieving social and environmental justice. Last week, I attended to an vocational educational network event, and one point was the common foundation of the 70 CDGs is skills. So the skills of youth are important for progress also in social and environmental justice. Told that to a grassroots organization to operate effectively, have need to a common value framework to guide the actions, peer-to-peer collaboration, a strengthened peer-to-peer collaboration and strong partnership with civil society, public institution and private entities. And also it's important the community advocacy and management and engagement to promote and address the real needs. Just an example, for example, I was thinking that what represents this like a model is the Erasmus Plus program. The Erasmus Plus program is the European flagship program designed to enhance the skills development, support lifelong learning, promote inclusion and diversity, and foster global cooperation. So since the 1987, the Erasmus program has been funded based on the European values like human rights, democracy, sustainable development. So this foundation has also contributed to its long-standing success of this program, and still provides a value framework on each organization, where each organization can base their works.
You done?
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Santo. I mean, you've spoken a lot about grassroots organizations. They're closer to people. You engage in I mean, they are capable of engaging in political advocacy. We need to focus on shared values or common values. But I want to ask you two questions. You can respond to one. How do you compare policy action nexus in Africa and Europe in terms of challenges? And number two, what's your call to action to the youth in the room vis-a-vis your work and experience? You can choose to respond. You still have like 2 more minutes to the two questions, or you can respond to one.
Okay, basically, like challenge, I would say before, both in Africa and Europe, I think that the decision making and policy connected with environmental justice and also social justice, often they depend from a top-down approach. So it's important also to develop a bottom-up approach, also to understand the real needs of the community, not only the community, but also the young people that they want to apport a contribution in the local in social justice and environmental justice. From my experience as coordinator of international project, I have seen access to training and exchange opportunity as transformed the way of young people to engage with their environmental, and they become a leader within their community. So I think that when you provide the right tools to young people, not just to be part of discussion, but involve them in design and implement innovative solution to the challenge we face, the young people can apport a lot of contribution. Because also young people have the talent, the passion, and also the tool to provide this drive real lasting change, because they, how say before also Zaina, they are not just the future generation. Also, I would say they before the during the speech I heard that they are the generation of today, not the generation of tomorrow. They are the generation of today, so they have to act today.
Thank you. Certainly, they are the generation today because they have the energy. Um, yeah, that's what we get every time, right? Yeah, but then the youth in the room, you have the energy. What are you using the energy for? Beyond Anguka. All right, that's just to tease you right there. Okay, so access to training for the youth, give them the right tools, but most importantly, involve them in the actual work. Thank you very much, Santo. Let's move on to Dr. Wamalwa. The theme of this session and the forum actually, human rights. That's an elephant in the room, by the way. What are the biggest human rights challenges linked to environmental justice, and how can institutions like yours address them? You can speak broadly, but then you also bring in environmental justice, and you can also bring in the youth.
Thank you, Daniel. I want to pick up from where Zaina and Santos left. And from where I sit, I'm going to speak from the policy making point of view. So to go direct to the question, because I know you don't have much time. However, detailed slides and references have been shared with you, which you'll be able to share with the team at the end of the session. So universally, in terms of universality, human rights is often expressed and guaranteed by law, as you understand, in forms of treaties, customary international law, general principles, and other sources of international law. The Constitution of Kenya recognizes and guarantees the right to a clean and healthy environment, as such as to viable rights. And the government has now made it a requirement, just like our colleague from the interior just shared before. It's a requirement that for every planning process to address the mitigation and adaptation of measures concerning the environment by way of undertaking environmental impact assessment. And this is what we are advocating for, because we believe that environmental justice entails the right to have access to and benefit from natural resources, as well as the right to participation and involvement in decision making on all matters touching on environmental policies, like I mentioned, laws and regulations coupled with our programs. Some of the challenges, of course, we have quite a number of challenges, but we're talking about, killings, arbitrary detention, and harassment of environmental human rights defendants is all over. Limited disclosure of environmental information. Access to information for any kind of a community is very crucial and meaningful for public participation, because concerned individuals and communities cannot meaningfully engage on the exploitation of resources without their environmental full disclosure of the purpose and the scope of benefits or projects of the communities. Inadequate public participation. Public participation is a natural values and principles of governance under the Constitution and bind and applies to all persons. So people have to be engaged. Lack of an effective benefit sharing framework. Many communities have complained. They came, they mined, they left us. Our donkeys, our camels are breaking legs because there's nothing they're getting out of that. Access to justice for historical and ongoing environmental challenges. Like previous cases of environmental concerns have not been adequately addressed, while new and emerging cases continue to impact on communities in Kenya and in Africa. However, we have opportunities and solutions for actors, all human rights institutions, all partners to engage in. A case of the Commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, what we are doing. We have targeted complaints and investigation system on reporting and unreported environmental matters. The Commission, as well as the human rights actors, have the opportunity to do so. Redress on behalf of victims, I can see you looking at your watch. Like I said, I shared already the notes. E.g., the Ogiek case and follow-up on the implementation of decision of African Court. The power to conduct public inquiries, the systematic and extensive broad human rights violation, e.g. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, is finalizing its report on ACHA's concluded public inquiry into the impact on businesses in the rights of indigenous people in communities. Advocacy for policy and legislative reforms. The Commission has a sustained and has advancedly led to the domestication of the United Nations Guideline Principles on Business and Human Rights through the session paper number 3 of 2021, and the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights is in place. Through national and regional international monitoring and reporting, the Commission has the mandate to monitor Kenya's compliance. Finally, the emphasis on collaboration of effort from stakeholders. We are actually emphasizing that we cannot do this alone. We need all the partners in this room, young people from across Africa, across the country, to come together and work together. Thank you, and back to you. I hope I'm within time.
Thank you, Dr. Wamalwa. Who will bring the young people together? Are we going the route of last year, faceless, leaderless? I mean, that's not for you to respond. Okay, so the Ogiek story is a tragedy. By the way, it had to go all the way to the African court. I mean, it tells a lot about our system. But Dr. Malwa, you've mentioned there is law, but there are also implementation challenges. Specifically, I don't know whether you have information. How are relevant bodies addressing arbitrary detention? Okay, I mean, we have structures, we have government structures which justify detention. Okay, but we have arbitrary, illegal, quote unquote, detention. From your perspective, from your work, how are they handling?
Thank you, Daniel, for a wonderful question. I'm glad that I'm accompanied by my colleagues. I have a senior lawyer in the house, and these are colleagues who have hands-on, who've been arbitrating for this, and I wish that they respond to that. My colleagues, probably by show of hands.
Okay, so
yeah, so I want to push this to Martin Pepela. Kindly, someone pass the mic.
So, in Martin, in one minute, please.
Where's Martin? Thank you very much for the question. And on behalf of the Commission, I want to respond to that question in the following sentence: that we have the doctrine of rule of law. That's what the Commission adheres to. That's the solution to all the issues of protecting and promoting rights in Kenya. However, I know the implementation space is a challenge. The arresting officers sometimes may arbitrarily arrest, and as they arrest, they may not in any way follow the due process of the law. But as a Commission, we rely on the judiciary. The judiciary is literally the pinnacle of justice in the country. And that's the reason why the Commission quickly moves to court under the auspice of public interest to support or to assist victims who have been arbitrarily arrested and seek justice for them. And in many cases, we have been very successful. The other opportunities to write or petition Parliament. Parliament is a house, a representative of the people, and there are committees that are charged with such areas. So that's how we work. Journalism, of course, the media is also very important to highlight some of these issues. We use this adage that Mulika, you know, those statements that we used to use long time ago. Mulika nani? Okay, I don't want to mention that word, but it's just to mulika. And umayona mchana usiku. You've heard of that statement. Umayona mchana usiku. So that in the darkness, things can happen. But when you have some light and you mulika the person may flee. So that's how we have been rescuing persons who face arbitrary arrests or unjustifiable detentions. I hope I've responded to the question.
Yes, Martin, you've really, really tried to respond to that question, but what I'm getting between the lines is that you're really trying not to bite the hand that feeds you. But these are some of the challenges. They are there, you know, I mean, we understand. Thank you very much, you know, lady and gentlemen, for those remarks. I'd like now to open the floor for engagement. I'll only take 3 questions. You can see that the agenda is really, really packed. At least one question from each. Can we say what do you call this? Row or yeah, yeah. So that hand was up. Uh-huh. Okay, so yeah, just give it to that link. Please also indicate to whom your question is directed so that they are able to adequately respond to your question.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Zaha. I think this might just be directly back to Martin, but it can also be for the panel as well. I'm keen to understand, we're very keen on victims, yes, in that when arbitrary arrests happen, enforced displacements, we have to speak truth to power here. I'm looking at the cases whereby police officers, for example, have been identified, or members of the government have been identified violating human rights in the presence. Has there been any accountability on them? Do we have these people being detained? What exactly is the challenge there? What is the challenge of us pursuing justice when it's against the functional government policies that actually implement it? What's the challenge there? So
Thank you.
for
Thank
people
you.
like Rex, etc.
All right, thank you. Very important. No, please just keep it. Continue, you know, mulling about it. We'll come back to you. So in the there was one hand there. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Proceed.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ramas Ibrahim.
Stand up, please, and
Okay.
yeah, introduce yourself. We want to see you. Come on.
Okay, so hi, everybody. My name is Ramas Ibrahim, and I work with an NGO, and we mostly deal with, marginalized groups. So my question is to the panel. With the growing impact of climate change, marginalized communities are often the most affected, people. So how can Kenya's democratic institutions be strengthened to ensure that environmental justice is not just a policy discussion, but a lived reality for those most vulnerable? Thank you.
So I was a little bit distracted. Which whom have you directed the question to?
The entire panel.
The entire panel. Please,
Yes.
the entire panel, think about that. Okay, the last question here, please. And panelists, please keep that to within 1.5 minutes for response.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nelly Chepkemoy. I would have had my question directly to government, but seems like they are already away. So I'll direct it to the panel. On the issue of accountability, the government, I appreciate in their statement, because we're here to speak to power, right? In their statement, they say that they are committed to, advancing human rights. As a country, we are a signatory to the Maputo Protocol, all these human rights treaties and agreements. But how far are we with the commitments that they keep making in these agreements? And accountability, because they cannot just come to keep telling us every other time that we are committed, we are committed. How far are you with the commitments already made of accountability? Thank you.
Thank you. Question on implementation. I think the panelists should now respond. Can you give that to Martin? Because I think that was Martin. You're not a panelist, so
Thank
keep
you.
it under
Thank
1
you.
minute.
There were quite a number of questions. So
Okay.
one minute.
All
1
right,
minute.
you can proceed. Respond to them. By the way, we don't want to really
Yeah.
restrict because we
Right.
want answers.
1 minute will be an injustice. On the issue of holding, let me say, officers, police officers, strictly responsible for crimes against the citizens or persons within the Republic. The Commission's role under our statute, which is the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act, is to investigate, to document, and to report. We do not have enforcement power. We cannot arrest. We can only report through a report done by the Commission itself as an independent office. And we have done that on all these cases that you have mentioned, including the Rex case. And as you can currently see, the officer who was allegedly involved is before court, right? He's before court, and there's an inquest on the same. It's going on. Unfortunately, in this country, justice is a slow-moving wheel. It can be sometimes, very demoralizing for victims. But at the end of the day, we believe justice will be found. On the case of Baby Pendo, you know very well, it has taken us as a commission close to 7 years, when that baby was unfortunately lost her life. You know very well, 11 officers are currently before court. They have been doing all mambo jumbo things to delay taking plea. But we thank God, last week, the Court of Appeal has rejected their request, or rather their appeal, not to take plea. They should take plea anytime in the coming few days. Once they take plea, they'll take plea not under the Penal Court of the Republic of Kenya. They will take plea under the International Criminal Act, which Kenya is party to, because they have been accused of various counts: murder, rape, forceful transfer of people, amongst others. So we are happy that that statute will be enforced in this country. As a commission, we are closely monitoring. We also provide legal support to families that are affected. I think when it comes to enforcement, the only person who can be charged of enforcement is who? The executive. I like the way we argue about the government. The government has 3 arms. We have the executive because the executive is the one that has the machinery to enforce. They have the police. They have the relevant machinery to enforce. But for us as an independent office, we can only investigate, document, and report. I hope I've responded to your question.
Thank you, Martin. You've redeemed yourself and the organization. But the aspect of independence, yeah, it's dicey. But do you want to add? No. All right. So Zaina, you can go respond to.
Yeah, so on the question of strengthening institutions, my sister asked, and the impact of climate change to marginalized communities, this is what I have to say. What we need to do is, number one, follow the money. So accountability, 360 degrees, follow the money. We've had the Auditor General, we have the Control of Budget giving us facts and figures every other time. This money was allocated, it was never used, or it was used wrongly, etc., etc. Some of these monies are also meant to fight, climate change, for instance. So we need to follow the money. After we've done that, we need to access information so that we have the actual documents or evidence to support our cause. Then third, we have to engage in solidarity. When any particular marginalized community speaks about the atrocities they're going through or any type of discrimination, for instance, those of us who are not part of the marginalized communities need to speak up for them. Because climate change is not only targeting marginalized communities, it is all of us. When any hurricane comes to Kenya, it will not choose whether you come from a marginalized community or not. It is just that the marginalized communities suffer more than the rest of us. But we all need to engage in solidarity actions, solidarity efforts to make sure that we get answers to all our questions. For instance, I will give you an example. All Chapter 15 commissions, that is the KNCHR and the rest, charged with the mandate of oversight and giving reports, they all suffer one thing in common. They will tell you we don't have budget. But where is this budget? So we need to go to those who are meant to allocate budget to these institutions and ask them, where is the money? And after they allocate the money, then we come back. So it's all about accountability. It's like continuous accountability every other day until we get our questions answered. Thank you.
Accountability, integrity, key issues. Yes, Santo, you want to add something?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Zaina told before. I just want to add something about respect my role of a project coordinator. Sometimes also raise awareness in marginalized community in what they can do is important in terms of conscience, and also give them the opportunity with the resource available, of course, because sometimes it's not possible to put there at the center of the actions, so that some community-based initiative can implement it, because I think from the action also the institution can be changed. An example just an example with the youth cafe we presented in March at the European Commission. A project is called I Can, that is I made to raise the awareness in climate change in a vulnerable community, but also to empower youth to implement youth-led initiative, fostering also the collaboration between young people from Europe and Africa to influence the local environmental policy and promote environmental justice. So this is small part, but maybe from the small part the change could be strong. A day, I don't know.
Incremental changes, right?
Incremental, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for responding to those questions. I have two more questions from those following us online. One is, can democracy guarantee and deliver peace? To any of the panelists. Yeah, or even the audience, can democracy guarantee and deliver peace? I mean, it's really broad, abstract, but then very important. What form of democratic system has Kenya adopted, either in phases or as a unit? What form of democratic system has Kenya adopted, either in phases or as a unit? So can we have responses to the first one? Can democracy guarantee and deliver peace? Just one person to respond. From the audience, or you want to engage online? You want to engage online? Now that this, that's Elizafan Kamau has asked these questions online. All right, so again, in the interest of time, okay, thank you. You want to respond to the question, or either of them? Thank you. Can you please take the mic to that lady over there?
Morning, everyone. My name is Sia Ntoyambaso. I'm from Sierra Leone. So To answer that question, definitely democracy will be able to enhance peace. But for me, I'd like to just outline three preferred solutions from the conversations we've had here today. First of all, we have to speak to these politicians and our people in leadership, especially grassroots too, that it is necessary to have servant leadership type of leadership in Africa. It is necessary to understand that you are for the people, you were placed there for a reason, and we do not have to always beg you guys to place money where they're needed. Another thing is people have rights to their opinions. We have to ensure we understand this before taking up leadership spaces. You can also listen and give preferred solutions. Also, like you said, faceless or leaderless organizations. It is necessary that when we say youth organizations, let the youth speak. Let us have people in authority that are actually youths. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Very well responded. You, you've made your point, but in a subtle way, you've responded to the two questions. Um, do we have 30 more seconds for
Please, let's wrap up.
Kingori is killing me here, so we don't have that time. Sorry. You can engage the panelists after this.